want to get to Dr. Sean here. Let me find Dr. Sean.
Wave, Dr. Sean. Oh, there you are. Hi, Vasayo Blue.
So,
hey, everybody.
All right. So, everyone, this is not only is he a team member of the Ucrew Nation family, he is a blessing to have on this team. He's a neurologist. He sent his credentials. I've seen his credentials, and they're about 4 pages long. So I couldn't even tell you everything he's accomplished. Just let me tell you this. I've sat down with thousands of people, I would say over 10,000 people in the last 2.5 years, either on the phone or in person. And he blew me away with his, not just his medical degrees, but his knowledge in health and wellness and nutrients. I mean, he is Tracy 2.0. I had them on the phone, and for an hour, I was just blown away. It was
like they're talking another language,
It
right?
was 2 Picassos going at it, and it was pretty powerful to listen to. He's a medical doctor that is a neurologist, which is a big deal, but he's also a medical doctor that knows nutrition can heal the root cause, and he believes in nutrition. So we're hugely blessed to have him on this team. He's on Nathan McCardle's team and Cedric and Edmonds, and it's just a blessing to have him on the call this morning. And you guys can hear his background. Maybe he could share that with you. And then a couple things that we're going to ask him, and we've already asked him to share. So, Dr. Sean, you have the floor.
Thanks very much, Ricky and Francois. It's really good to be part of this group. And honestly, I do think that was where this was going to end up. I was first brought into this by Edmund so that I could convince him that he was making a bad decision by going into business with this company. Because as a doctor, we're trained to be skeptical, and I'm 20 years into practice, and I've seen all sorts of snake oil come and go, so it's pretty routine for me to just go in and debunk things, right? So, but on the other hand, I'm an innovative disruptor. So, a lot of the things that I've done over the last 20 years have, hopefully none of you will ever have to use the technologies that I've been involved with, inventing and bringing to market for people with strokes and traumatic brain injury and Alzheimer's disease and that sort of thing. But, where Edmund finally convinced me was that even before he'd heard about this company, I had been talking to him about how important nutrition was. And frankly, for the last 6 to 7 years, I have made it a really big part of my practice to make sure that I take care of my patients holistically. We're not trained to do that in medicine these days. We're trained to be very subspecialized, right? But what I learned the hard way was that many times I would give medications to my patients, and sometimes they wouldn't work, or even worse, sometimes they would backfire and have unintended consequences. And it forced me to take a step back and scratch my head and ask, why is this happening? And almost all the time, there's something fundamental that's missing, and so often it's nutrition. So a decade ago or so, I started to become much more focused on nutrition, and I dreamt of the day when a company would come along where I could actually influence them and help to participate in the creation of products that were very brain specific, products that would help to reduce inflammation, that would improve focus and energy, but without causing all the side effects that pharmaceutical agents cause, such as high blood pressure, kidney damage. I was looking for products that would help people to lose weight. Weight gain is such a huge problem in our society, and as a neurologist, I would see this on the back end with people having strokes and conditions like that. So when Edmund got me in front of Ricky and Nathan, I think, Ricky, you can correct me if you felt differently, but I came in there kind of a little bit, hardened and thinking that I was going to tell Edmund that this is a big waste of time. And by the time we were done with our conversation, I was about 80% convinced that this was that company that I've been waiting for the last decade. Aww. And after talking with Tracy Gibbs on the phone, and then now especially after meeting him in person last weekend, I am completely convinced that that Vasayo is the modern day platform that is going to save our country. And it's going to help not just 1 million people, but potentially dozens or even hundreds of millions of people to get into good health. It's not a good time to get sick in this country. And as all of you get to know me, and I want you to use me as a resource going down the road here for this group. If you have people who have questions about their conditions that are health related, I want you to feel comfortable reaching out to me. I've learned the hard way, in a very hard way, that our health system is really pretty corrupt and just damaged, and it's not delivering the results that people need. It's up to us to take it into our own hands as people to command our own health. And I think Vasayo has a great line of products that are just going to make that easy for so many people, so that we can cut down on all of the diseases that we're seeing that are causing so much damage to our society and really affecting the global IQ of our country in a negative way. So that's kind of my big overview. I don't know if you have any specific questions, Ricky, that you want to bring out or, have me talk about here this morning, but that's the broad strokes.
So when you looked at the product technology, liposomal, and the ingredients and all that with your background, what was your thoughts?
So great question. That was actually what really turned my head at first. As a clinician, I've used medications, pharmaceutical agents that are very expensive, but also very good because they help to, let's say, kill fungal infections or treat brain cancer. And those medications can be made much safer and more effective if they are wrapped in liposomal membranes. And I was telling Francois, I was telling Ricky just the other day, it's ironic, I helped a good friend of mine get a job with a company in November that is about to launch a new brain cancer molecule. It's actually an old molecule that's been around that never worked for brain cancer before until they wrapped it in these lipid, bilayer packets. And then suddenly it was able to have an enormous curative rate for brain cancer. So I've been steeped in this technology now for the last 3 months, and then lo and behold, along you come, and really I think it's a brilliant maneuver. The brain has this very tight barrier. It's called the blood-brain barrier, and it's there to keep stuff out that doesn't belong. But unfortunately, sometimes that backfires, and it keeps out things that need to get in there. And in today's society, we are working harder than ever. We're more stressed than ever. Our brains are really being put to the task, and so many people are burning out at what they're doing, not just because they're multitasking, not just because they're being pulled away by their cell phone and everything else, but also because they're not getting the proper fuel for their brain. So I've actually written a book about this issue, and I'm happy to share my screen with you if you want to just take a quick look at this. But when you look at the kinds of things that you need in order to maintain good brain health, they're the basic things like sleep, diet, and physical activity. On the bottom of the screen, you'll see there are the advanced things that are very elegant, and this is what I've been practicing for the last 20 years, pharmaceuticals, devices to stimulate the brain, etc. But right in the middle there, nutraceuticals, nootropics are so key to maintaining good brain health. And the product that Vasayo has put together, not only the enzyme product, but also the bilayer lipid membrane delivery system is absolutely brilliant. You look at a lot of the vitamins that are included in your product lineup and the nutrients and the very elegant molecules that are sourced from all over the world that are hard to get, honestly. And this delivery system is absolutely genius. And so that was really, I think, the first clue to me that Vasayo is different from anything that I've seen before. And then I would just add, many of the people that I've taken care of, especially over the last 5 years, are busy executives, entrepreneurs, people with healthy brains who, frankly, just want an edge. And so they'll use neurotropics, they'll engage in what we call biohacking. And the Neuro product contains a bunch of the things that I normally would use for my biohacking crowd anyways. So that I think was the other thing that really convinced me that Tracy Gibbs is different. I had such a great conversation with him on the phone, but especially in the conference. I think that it's rare to find somebody with his skill set and his insight, and the products he's putting together for everybody are absolutely phenomenal.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Sean. So exit screen share so I can ask you a question.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
It's all right.
I probably should figure out how to do that.
There you go. Ah, there he is.
So so what I took away from that, somebody could be taking a product for years. I mean, just like that company you're talking about, they could be taking a nutraceutical, they could be taking a vitamin and really not have any effect from it for a long time, and then take it with liposomal and have huge effects from it.
So this is one of those, you know, I had this awakening moment, Ricky, probably about 12 years ago, when I was taking care of a woman who's in the hospital. She had been very healthy, diligent about exercise and doing all the things that she needed to in order to maintain good health. She was in her early 40s, and she came into the hospital almost comatose, and we could not figure out what was going on with her for a few days. And it wasn't until somebody finally ordered a vitamin B12 level, and we found that her vitamin B12 level was something like 40. Now, it should be around 500. And that was a pivotal moment for me, because she had been taking vitamin B12, but she had not been absorbing it. And that is one of the most important components of the brain, is vitamin B12. And it's involved in 22 different biochemical reactions. If you don't have enough of it, it can actually mimic conditions like multiple sclerosis and Alzheimer's disease. That was really, I think, what set me on this path. And so you're exactly right. If you could have the best intentions and be doing everything right, but if you're using a product that doesn't deliver what it's supposed to deliver, you're wasting your time and your money. And I think that this is where Vasayo is really going to differentiate itself from the rest of the market in its delivery system, and also the kind of compounds that are being used, right? True vitamin C instead of ascorbic acid. The form of vitamin B12 that's being used. You know, if most of you go to the pharmacy right now, let's say CVS, you buy vitamin B12, you're going to get something called cyanocobalamin. Cobalamin is the B12, and it's attached to cyanide, right? So, you know, cyanide is what you see in the spy movies. The guy takes a cyanide pill and croaks. Our bodies don't like a lot of cyanide, but the industry largely packages B12 with cyanide. It keeps it stable. So what happens? We don't absorb it. Well, the kind of B12 that Tracy is using here is called methylcobalamin, and it's exactly the kind that our bodies need. It goes right into the bloodstream, it goes right into the brain tissue, into the nervous tissue, and I guarantee you we're going to hear stories of people here that start taking our product and find that their cognition improves, that their numbness gets better, that their balance improves. The stories are hard. I'm going to be keeping track of those as we go through here. So yeah, a long way of answering your question, but I think that this is going to make it easier for people to take care of themselves the way that they ought to.
That's great. Thank you for that. So I know a lot of people are pretty excited about the new products, and now we're talking about enzyme delivery, right? So we've talked about liposomal delivery, and I'm not a doctor, so I can't really explain it like you can, but I know that there's certain things that can't be put into a liposome, but our tagline is delivering solutions. So we're always going to find the best delivery method for that solution. So do you think you can kind of elaborate on the enzyme delivery for those of on the call that might not understand it like me?
Sure, and you know, it probably deserves a you know, like a weekend seminar for this year.
Okay.
To make it really short and sweet, you know, as we age, our bodies go through the process of, and happy birthday, Ricky. So as we age, our bodies go through this process where we don't make things the way that we ought to do, right? So aging is simply an accumulation of metabolic failures, if you want to look at it that way. And as we age, our ability to make certain enzymes also becomes more challenged. Some people also they're born with certain enzyme deficiencies, like lactase, for example. So people who are lactose deficient don't have the right enzyme to break down lactase that you find in milk, lactose that you find in milk. So the idea here is that there are some provitamins, and there are some vitamins that are complex, and in order for them to be absorbed properly, they do need to go through a process of being broken down in a certain series of steps. And so if you go and get a generic vitamin that doesn't, you know, and you don't have the right enzymes to break it down, you're basically just feeding the fishes. That vitamin is just going to go through your colon, it's going to be excreted in your stool, and you're not going to benefit from absorption. So the idea of adding certain enzymes here is that you're delivering a 1-2 punch. You're given the enzymes, you're given the vitamins, and they go to work in your intestinal tract so that the vitamins get cleaved the proper way, and then they're very bioavailable. And so this really comes down to the notion of giving, in medicine we say you give the patient what the patient needs, no more and no less. You don't want to overdo it, but at the same time you don't want to give them a solution that's not going to deliver for them. So this is where enzymes are proteins, they're highly complex, they're hard and energy demanding for the body to create. And when you create them, then they do their job, and that's great, but many people fail to make those enzymes, and this gives an extra boost here. It just ensures that the product that you're paying money for is actually going to do what it should do. And this is, I think, why the company has such credibility in my view, and I think we're going to see that a lot of doctors actually get on board with the product simply because it actually does what it says it does. Vitamins have a pretty bad reputation in the medical field, largely because many of them don't work. So I think this is going to solve that problem.
So with the enzyme delivery, is there a certain amount of absorption? Because you know how we say with liposomal delivery, you're going to get 85 to 95% depending on bioavailability. So when you're looking at an enzyme delivery, what do we say if somebody's like, well, what's the percentage of that?
So great question, Francois. If I'm going to give you an honest answer, I'll give it to you probably down the road to give you a very specific answer. I'm still new to the product line, and I'm still going through the literature right now. I don't want to make a mistake and give you a wrong answer. I would tell you, and I'll post that on my Facebook page for you guys once I get a formal answer so you can use it. I can tell you though that right now when you just look at all comers, vitamins in general are very poorly absorbed, which is why so much of the medical literature right now actually recommends against doctors prescribing vitamins for patients because the absorption rate is so low. So I would say any boost that you get over what's out there right now is a benefit. Tracy, in passing, did mention to me that the enzyme delivery system probably increases absorption, 80 to 90% over baseline, which is great. But I suspect that probably varies from vitamin to vitamin and from phytonutrients. There's a difference between phytonutrients and regular vitamins and minerals. So I think I'll give you an even better answer after I get even more involved with the company, and I'd like to be able to be scientifically accurate. But I can tell you just from a broad perspective, I think that the enzymatic delivery system is going to be a big bonus over anything you get anywhere else.
Okay, so pretty much right now it's we could feel comfortable saying it's going to be about 80 to 90% over baseline, kind of in layman's terms, because I mean we don't want to get super technical, right? And it doesn't have to be a doctor's response, but you want to have a rebuttal because they're like, well, why are you using liposomal versus this? Well, some things can't be put in a liposome, so we're going to use the best delivery method. Well, is it going to be good absorption, better absorption? Yes, it's going to be over about 80 to 90% over baseline. Is that something that you'd feel comfortable and keeping the integrity of the company at this point?
Yeah, I think that's a very accurate statement to say. I think it's very reasonable. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, look, vitamins have a bad reputation in the medical field because they're so poorly absorbed. And this company is aiming to change that with this delivery system.
Okay, that's so good.
The doctors will be getting on board with this.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Dr. Sean, looking at the neuro, I know you've looked at them ingredients because essentially you're a brain doctor. How powerful is that product wrapped in liposomal?
Well, I think it's a big deal. For one thing, if you think about what leads to burnout, right? In burnout, there are very discrete steps to burnout, but it really is brain overuse without any relaxation or without renourishment. And what the neuro product does is it really helps to give the raw ingredients that the brain needs in order to be optimally functioning. So, and most of these the nutrients that are in neuro are going to be broken down in the stomach acid. So the fact that they're wrapped up in the lipid bilayer membrane means that you're going to assure that they're actually delivered into the bloodstream and then going to get into the brain. I'll give you a little example here. We have neurotransmitters in the brain, And if anybody's interested, I'm going to put a link in here when we're done for you to go to if you really are curious about this stuff and you want to get into it, because I don't want to waste your time or get too into the lingo of it here. But I'll give you a link where you can go and learn more. And especially if you're working on coaching your downline, some of this may help you, and I'll come up with a list of objections that you can help overcome. But basically, the fact that these neurotransmitters in the brain are so delicate and so easily used up can be a problem. So Tracy Gibbs put in the neuro product something called huperazine, which I think is just brilliant. I use this for my biohacker executives, the people that run 2 companies at once. And huperazine actually blocks the breakdown of a chemical called acetylcholine in your brain. Now, people with Alzheimer's disease are deficient in acetylcholine. People with Parkinson's disease and other forms of dementia get deficient in acetylcholine.
Wow.
And we have very powerful drugs that help to boost the amount of acetylcholine in the brain. Huperazine does that same thing. And it's a pretty potent substance, and it's hard to come by. It's getting scarce in this world. So I was very, very impressed that Vasayo could not only source the product, but that Tracy even thought about putting it in there.
So you're saying, so this is a good product, because we do know that people with Alzheimer's dementia, they have had results, but the Parkinson would be another one. And I assume that, but I didn't know why. So that would be the product that's probably helping the Parkinson's, right?
Yeah, I think it will. And frankly, even Renew. At the end of the day, it's becoming clear that Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease and multiple sclerosis, they're all disorders of inflammation of the brain. Yeah. Anything you can do through this inflammation, pathological inflammation in the body, is going to help those conditions too.
Yeah, everything starts with inflammation.
It's probably safe to say that our neuro product it could be the best brain product in the.
I gotta go take my neuro.
in the nutrient space, right? With the combined ingredients.
Yeah, I can't find anything out there like that. And this is frankly, again, one of those. There were several things that caught my attention when I was going through the initial evaluation that, I was getting frustrated, honestly. I was trying to help my friend Edmund to stay away, and I kept failing at doing that. And I think this is the final blow that convinced me and converted me over to believing that Vasayo is really on the right track.
Well, if anyone hasn't taken their neuro today, he's got me so excited I got up and took mine.
So and you've seen the effects on the SAD spectrum on what happens when people don't take good care of their brain. And it's a scary disease. I've seen it because my wife worked in dementia and Alzheimer's for pretty much a whole life. And I would walk through there and it was scary for me watching how, they look like vegetables all hunched over on the couch and can't move. It's like crazy.
For a while, Ricky, it was really hard for me to explain to my friends and family why I had gone into neurology. And the real story, it's a very complex thing. My brother had a head injury when I was young, and I was on track to be a professional musician when I was skinny and still had hair.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with not having hair.
Hey, guys in this business with no hair have proven to be very successful.
Thank you. So we redeemed ourselves here. But, back then I was thinking differently, and my brother had a head injury, and that completely changed my life. And I felt very grateful that his life was saved and was preserved, and that motivated me to become a neurologist. And but most of my classmates thought that I was crazy to go into this field where I would be essentially, taking care of. They thought I was like a veterinarian. That the people that I was taking care of, they couldn't communicate. It was a very bleak landscape. Neuroscience this is the century of neurology right now. This is the century of the brain. You're going to see more discoveries coming out in the next 10 years than in the previous 2,000 years combined about the brain. And honestly, this is one of the reasons I'm so excited about Vasayo, because I predicted this kind of company was going to emerge specifically for that reason. Yeah. And lo and behold, bang, here you are. And I'm just so blown away by the timing. This is just divinely inspired is the only way that I can really mention.
Well, too, like not even with the neuro I feel is good, not just with the, the biohackers but also the athletes. The brain and muscle connection that you get from the neuro, I think is awesome. I feel it in the gym when I take the neuro.
That's a very good point, Francois. But frankly, if you're a mom with a newborn at home, you're somebody in the high performance business. It's hard. Life is hard. It takes a lot out of you, no matter what you're doing. So if you're somebody who really cares about the way that you present to the world and you want to advance yourself in any way, we are now in the neuroeconomy. And again, the link I'm going to give you, I kind of go into this notion, but up until 2012, all of history has been centered around a cardio economy. We earn how much horsepower we could generate as human beings. After 2012, that's changed. More people are dependent on their brain function than their heart function than ever before. And so it behooves all of us to work as hard as we can to make sure that our brain function is finely tuned, that we're addressing any kind of deficiencies of nutrients, but also exercise and sleep. Those are very important foundational components. So yes, if you're an athlete, this is great. If you're an accountant, if you're somebody who has to do taxes in a few months and you're getting slammed, if you're a lawyer, if you're somebody who owns a lawn maintenance company and you've got 10 clients that you need to take care of, if whatever it is, we all live in a high performance environment now. So it just makes sense to have your ducks in a row, and I think Neuro is a great product for that.
So I have one more question, and then we'll let you kind of go. So Neuro, right? So it's awesome. I have taken Neuro more than once a day. Is my brain gonna explode or what?
Well, please call me. I'll be on.
Because I would take it like 7 a.m. and then I have to do an event like 7 p.m. and I'm just like, I feel like I need like a cleansing, and it makes me feel happy and it makes me feel focused. So is that okay?
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. We're all different, first of all. And I think Carrie made a good point of that when he was talking earlier. Everybody's different. We're coming into this era of personalized medicine where, in the next 5 years, you'll be able to have your own DNA analyzed for $10 in a way that tells you exactly what kind of compounds you need to be optimized. We're not there yet. So, if you play around with this and you find that taking it twice a day gives you extra benefit, there's not, let me put it this way. I don't see anything in the product that worries me. This is not a pharmaceutical. Like when we're dealing with drugs, top of the pyramid kind of stuff, the big reason they're regulated so much is because they can do a lot of damage. There's potential for side effects and danger if they're not used properly. Obviously, they have to meet efficacy standards, but there's that dark side of it. But with the nutraceutical products in Vasayo's product line, I suppose if somebody took a bottle, you could be dealing with issues. But if you're just taking a couple, and you have to use common sense, right? You do have to be thoughtful and maybe track your results, right? So what you're doing, Francois, is biohacking, and you're a high performance guru. So I think that there will be people who find that they benefit from taking a product like that, a couple times a day. Or the V3, same thing.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you.
So just a nugget for everyone watching. I knew this call would be a little bit longer, but it's definitely worth it because there's not too many times you get a neurologist that believes in nutrition and part of Vasayo and our team. So, but a little nugget for you guys. Vasayo is not done with the brain. You're going to see some exciting stuff that's going to be forged by this company, and we're just at the top in the beginning. So it's going to be pretty exciting. That's all I can say right now. And but looking at the other products, you're so diverse in nutrition. I've sat down with you for hours already. Looking at the Core Complete, how awesome is that vitamin in for the price?
Well, it's a total bargain. With some of my clients, I'll have them go out and get some of the trace minerals that are in the Core Complete. And that bottle of trace minerals will cost more than Core Complete does. So, I think that Tracy's done a great job sourcing it, and it's a high value product is the way I would put it. You get a lot for your money, and especially because of the absorption mechanism, you're really getting more than you would get with regular over the counter stuff. It's
awesome. So, have you looked at the V Slim at all yet?
I have.
What is your thoughts?
I can't wait for my bag to arrive. You know, they say doctors make, the doctor that treats himself is the worst patient and the worst doctor. You know, Christmas and the holidays killed me. So I can't wait to get back on the scale a month from now after starting to do so. But I say, all joking aside, you know, metabolic syndrome is a big issue for us in this country. And it is what underlies diabetes and high blood pressure, high cholesterol, that's leading to this epidemic of heart disease and stroke that we see, that's just costing our country billions of dollars every year. Alzheimer's ultimately is a metabolic disorder. In fact, we're looking at it like diabetes type 3 or diabetes of the brain.
Wow.
So to have a product that can actually help you to curb your cravings, that's a neurological product. I might go so far as to say that every single product that you have in Vasayo, that we have in our lineup, is a neurological product, one way or the other.
Wow.
Maybe a little, you know, attempt on my part to rebrand or market it, but it fits perfectly. So, you know, something that's going to curb your cravings is going to reduce your drive to eat sugary foods. And you know what I'll do is I'll create another lecture for you guys and post that out there so that you can understand the mechanism behind that.
That would be awesome.
It may help you down the road. But yeah, I think it's a great product from what I've seen so far. It's delicious, which is also different from most weight loss products. But
I've never seen a weight loss product that has a synergistic effect of D-Slim, where it raises metabolism, also burns fat, suppresses the appetite, lowers the sugar and insulin levels. That's pretty powerful in a powdered enzyme delivery drink that tastes good.
Well, and it has literature to back it up. And that to me is, again, was one of those, you know, one of those check marks that I need as a doctor. We're very skeptical people, and we need, and I'm sure Francois, you with your background as a nurse.
So tell them what that means so they know what that means.
So you know, having literature means that that scientific testing has gone into the product, and that this is that it's not snake oil, that there's actual legitimate proof that the product does what it says it will do. And the fact that Vasayo went out and actually purchased the company that, you know, has a literature-based, you know, product behind it, that's huge. So this is not, you know, just something that you're picking up off the store shelf that has extra caffeine to jack you into hyperspace. It has components that actually fundamentally alter metabolism in a way that should change your brain function to improve your metabolism. It's pretty amazing.
Wow. So, and that's what a lot of 99% of the companies in weight loss are. It's just a bunch of ingredients thrown in there with no papers backing it, right?
Right. And you know, so they come up with a spectrum of stimulants that, you know, they cause your heart rate to go up and your blood pressure to go up, and they cause you to sweat a lot, and that makes you feel like your metabolism is up, and it is, but it's with all the negative side effects. And it's really, you know, jacking your adrenaline system up. So then you're walking through the day jittery and snapping at people and not sleeping at nighttime. The formulation that Vasayo has put together here works differently. It works on a more fundamental level with brain chemistry to positively alter your metabolism. And I don't see that out there. And I don't talk this way about products. I mean, you know, so I sound like I'm gushing. It really is such a relief to find something like this.
Man, now you guys know that how we sat down for 2 hours, because I was just like, I mean, it's just a wealth of knowledge, and he has so much more. He's going to be a huge asset for this company, this team, and every one of you guys. He has a heart. It's a difference just to have knowledge, but when you take knowledge and you mix it with the heart to serve, that's when it's a huge blessing, not only for Dr. Sean and his team, but for everybody in Vasayo, because he has the heart to do good in the world. And it exactly lines up to our leadership of this company, the leadership of this team, and the leaders on this team. And we are super blessed to have you, my brother. I can't wait to do your meeting Tuesday night. Bring Vasayo to your friends.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Thank you for this, man. God bless you.
God bless you.
The notes.